Hey, welcome to another episode of Soul Filling. I'm Tiffany.
I'm Jasmine.
And I'm Kobe.
And today we have a very special guest with us. We have Aaron Lide from the Black Fly on the Wall show.
What's going on? How y'all doing?
Good. We're so happy to have
Awesome.
you here.
Good.
Please tell our soulmates more about you and your amazing show. We've been following you for about 2 years, and we're just finally so excited to have you here with us on Zoom.
Yeah. First, I just wanted to say, much gratitude. Thank you all for the opportunity. I love what you young ladies are doing. I have 2 sisters myself. And so I love to see it, and I love to support Black women out here grinding, changing the curve, setting your own plateau, doing things on your own terms. And I love the podcast, and I'm a big supporter. So I just want to, thank you all for just the opportunity. Black Fly on the Wall is essentially a venue for Black men to be able to communicate. The main purpose of the company is to break barriers in communication within Black men and provide Black men with a platform to be able to say whatever they want, to express whatever they want to express. We talk about sex, we talk about money, we talk about politics, we talk about relationships, we talk about spirituality, we talk about religion, we talk about anything that the Black man discusses on a daily basis, a weekly basis, a bi-weekly basis, it doesn't matter. If it affects Black men in any type of way, which all things do, we discuss it on the show. And so, as a mini-series visual show, we like to paint Black men in a different light than what the mass media, paints Black men as. And so on the show, you have highly educated Black men. Everybody's college educated, bachelor's degrees, master's degrees, PhDs, authors, fathers, married men, single men, gay men. You have anything that encompasses the paradigm of Black men. We have that. And within that paradigm, we have mostly everybody on the show owns a company on the side, is a CEO of another company. We have some really big thoroughbreds, and everybody went to a historically Black college, which adds a little, spice on there. And to really push the envelope as far as, what do Black men discuss? And being a Black fly on the wall means that you are a person on the wall, or you are a fly on the wall listening into the conversations that Black men have. And so for my ladies out there that are always wondering, like, what do Black men talk about, and what is he saying, and what is he saying about relationships, and do he really like me, and am I crazy? No, I'm just playing. We talk about all those different things. And this provides people with an insight. And we push, heavy content that really stimulates the mind, stimulates how you see things. If you don't have a brother or an uncle or a father in your life, we want to provide that type of advice to a young lady or to another young man that may have questions about spirituality or questions about sex or anything, So we the big homies, basically.
Love that.
Yes.
And we support Black
Yes,
kids.
yes,
sure.
we do. We love to.
Yes, it reminds me of I have an older brother, and growing up, I used to love when all his friends would come over and chill in the same room, and I would just be thinking, like, I would just listen to them talk over and over.
You was a fly on the wall.
I was a real fly on the wall. And so those conversations are amazing, and y'all's conversations are amazing. We did our homework and we went ahead and listened to some of your podcasts, and we want to discuss what you guys talked about. So the first topic of discussion is sex.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Sex is so taboo. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think it's so taboo. That's the reason why we started off this series, this segment of episodes, this block of episodes that we're releasing now, which is 7 new episodes. Episode 20 talked about, let's talk about sex. You know what I'm saying? Like, people, when you say the word sex, whenever you're around people that's not your boyfriend or friends or whatever, everybody gets all, the table shaking, you know what I mean? And it doesn't need to be like that. It's crazy because as a small kid, I had one white friend, like when I was like 6 years old, and this dude knew about sex at 6.
Wow.
And I'm like, he was like, yeah, my parents taught me about it. I know what it is. You know, I know about, like, he knew about the scientific part about it. He knew about the negative parts about it related to STDs and kids before you get married and whatever before it's your time. He knew about that, and so that was the first person that said anything relatable to me in an intimate type conversation about sex, right? Whereas, you know, sometimes in the black family, it's like, stay out of, you know, you're a child, stay in a child's place, or that's grown folks' business, or cover your eyes whenever a scene comes onto the movie, or you know what I mean? Like, you don't need to talk about that, you know, like, or you learn about it in school. You carrying the baby dolls around, you got to put the bottle in there and all that crazy stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like it's taboo, and so like we like to break barriers. You know, we want to make talking about sex with your friends, whether you're in a group, non-taboo.
Yes. And it wasn't just until a few moments ago that I realized that is why sex is so uncomfortable to talk about for me, is because of the movie stuff. Whenever, you know, we were watching a movie when I was younger, my parents always like fast forward through it, or they told me to close my eyes, turn my head, you know, go to the other room. All right, you can come back. And so even now as an adult, even when I'm still watching, like I still like just go to my phone, look away, like it's still very awkward.
You're conditioned.
And that is why.
You're
Yes.
conditioned.
Same,
You're
Exactly.
conditioned. You're conditioned. Yep.
same. And it is, especially for girls. I'm gonna just speak from my personal experience, and even with my immediate friend group of girls, it's not like as it's not a conversation that's as highly expressed, I can say, with females. We don't necessarily, talk. Me and my boyfriend, we talk. He say, what do you and your friends talk about? Do y'all talk about your sexual experiences? And I say, we do, but not like, we don't go into depth and we don't go into details, and we don't really just ask each other.
Y'all not
Whereas
Cardi and
with
Meg
his
with it.
friends,
No.
he says it's like a whole nother ball game. Like, we getting explicit. We want to know counts. We want to know it all. So I'm just like, so that just brings me to my next question. Like, how does sex differ from the male and the female relationships with amongst our friend groups?
You know, the fellas, we get into it. You know what I'm saying? Within reason, you know, if it's your girl, your girlfriend, your main girl, you're not gonna go into details about that. But like speaking about your past, speaking about sex in general, it is a open, full-blown melee. Like, it's Bogart the conversation. It ain't no censorship. It's explicit. You know what I mean? But in a respectful way. But I feel as if um, it's important to do because you can avoid a lot of obstacles in the future, right? You know, whereas you have one of your homeboy who may have been a little reckless in the past, living on the edge. He learned his lesson in a negative way. Maybe he got an STD that he could have got rid of. That'll open your eyes like, oh, safe sex is important, because you knew it was important by what you learn in the book and what you learn in school. But when it affects somebody directly close to you that you love, it makes you look at it from a different type of thing. And one way I look at it too is like, it takes a village to help you grow, right? And so it's no longer sufficient for you to get information from one source. You need your friends and your family members around you to have these multiple layers of conversations so that you as an individual feel comfortable moving forward in that category, whether it's about how you manage your finances. On this case, is about how you proceed in your sexual health, right? And I think like the boundaries have to be broken when it comes to sex. It's because nobody's perfect, right? You know, so it's like, if you can have an intimate conversation with your mom or your brother or your sister about some of the things that you're thinking about, they can help you, guide you on how you can move forward. And I think too, the biggest thing about it is that everybody should just be comfortable in their sexual relationship, whatever they have going on, whether you're celibate, whether you're being abstinent at the moment, whether you are having your phase where you just doing whatever you want to do. I feel like everybody should be respected along those lines, because it's an individual decision, and it's a decision that you have to make during that certain chapter or that season of your life, so that you can be fulfilling and so that you can be 100% comfortable within yourself at that time.
Agreed.
That's
Yeah.
interesting. I was just thinking, what question pops into my mind is I feel like people do really view sex differently. Um, and I say that because I've been told like you sex isn't a big deal. Like I don't think about sex the way you think about sex. So meaning like for me personally, I think it's like a very valuable thing. Do it with the person that you love and you're committed to. But this person's like, I could just knock anyone down, which is fine. I don't care. But I don't know. Do y'all think it's important for when two people are intimate with each other to have the same ideals around sex?
Me personally, I think that for me, I think it would be, I can't speak for everyone, but I think for a healthy, harmonious thing to flow, I think it would be important for two people to have similar views. Of course, I don't think that they're going to be 100%. You're going to agree with every single thing and aspect around sex, but it also determines the dynamic of you and that person's relationship. You have to factor in, are we monogamous? You have to factor in, are we just friends with benefits? You have to factor in, is this person in a freshman in college or, in high school? I think the different levels of maturity along with where that person is in their life, where you are in your life, you have to have that honest communication. So I think it just needs to be understood from where because a lot of times, and I know girls, I'm just gonna speak for us, I feel like we often, and the reason why I say this, because I've been here, I'm speaking from personal experience, where there's been a guy that I liked and he wasn't on the same page with me sexually, or not even sexually. I think sexually we were definitely on the same page, but for the entire relationship, like me, oh, we wanted, so this is moving in a certain direction versus this person like, I'm just having fun. And so women, sometimes I feel like I trick myself like, oh yeah, I just want to have fun too, because I just wanted to be under that person. But it's like we have to pardon.
You wanted to appease him.
Exactly. Wanted to appease him, thinking that eventually this would transition into something a little bit more serious. But we have to be clear with ourselves, like, okay, going into it, like, I want something serious, that's okay. Understand, like you were saying earlier, Lide, that understand what it is that you want for yourself, your personal, like, because we're all going to be different. But if we understand and we're confident in whatever it is that we want, like whether that is friends with benefits, a serious relationship, whatever it is, but if you're clear with wherever you stand on the fence, wherever you stand, then that can be communicated to whomever you are wanting to be intimate with, and you have that option to back away and say, okay, we're not on the same page, so okay, you go your way, I go my way, and that's okay, no matter which way it goes.
For sure. Colby?
I want to kind of go back a bit before I answer that question, because you were talking about, circles and friends and teaching. And my experience was, like with these group of girls, we really didn't talk about stuff like that growing up. We just didn't. We were kind of a different group. We were just like, and I tell people this all the time. Our idea of fun was like going into Walmart and like playing around, pushing baskets around, doing just different stuff. So I did have the group of friends that was like trying to teach me, okay, this is how you be a bad bitch. You got to walk, you got to dress like this, you got to do this, And so when I was with them, it was very, very different. My ideas of, who I was and my sexuality and all of that was very different when I was with one group versus when I was with another group. And then even down to, even like in college, like when we did talk about sex as a group, it was like drinking, like I based my ideas of sex off of, damn, okay, these people, like, it was always, what was the game? Never Have I Ever. It was always Never Have I Ever. And, you got to see where people were in their sexual experiences. And it was like, damn, behind the curve. Like, okay, so for a while in my spirit, I was trying to catch up with other people. Okay, I got to do this. Oh, I got to have sex in a pool. Oh, I got to go do this. You know, I got to. So, yeah, I say all that to say it's important to understand who you are surrounding yourself with, because you can get caught up in trying to live a certain way based off of, you know, who you're surrounding yourself with. But I do think it's important to be on the same page if you are, you know, at that point in your life, you know, where you're trying to be more serious.
One of the guys on the show, his name is Oscar. We call him O. Like his favorite thing that he says every season, every episode that he's on is, and it's relatable. He has a saying that says comparison kills, right? Like if you continuously compare yourself and your experiences to everybody else's, it's a never ending cycle. You know, you have women or men out here that are millionaires, big in the industry, acting, music, whatever it may be, and they're always comparing themselves to the next actor. And whereas people who may be not on the same level as them look at them as being perfect. And so then you start to feed insecurities. And we know that once you feed things that are not beneficial to you, they start to eat you away, right? And so I feel like whenever it comes down to sex, sex is your individual lane, you know? I think it's very important for you to identify what that lane is and stay in that lane as much as you want. Whenever you want to put your little turn signal on and bust a left real quick, you know, you have the ability to do that, right? Because you're an adult. And that is your personal business. Going back to Jasmine's point, I think it's also noted that sometimes like men and women can date people off of potential of what it potentially can be, which is like a mistake that we've all made. You know, if you've lived a little bit and dated a little bit, you have the mistake of having that one person where you think they all got it, and if they just did this and they just did that, they just polish themselves up a little bit, you know what I'm saying? Da 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 da. They can be this perfect person, but we have to take people for who they are and meet them where they're at. And you know, when it comes down to my fellas, I just tell my fellas, like, just be honest. You know what I mean? Just be honest. You'll never know when it comes down to communicating with women, how far honesty can get you. Sometimes it can get you 10 steps ahead. Sometimes it cannot get you the results you want in that moment. Sometimes, you know, later on in life or weeks or months or years down the road, that young lady can come back around and she remember how solid you stood on your word. And I tell my fellas, like, look, bro, if you out here and you in the field and you trying to get your numbers up, there's women out here that will also participate in that activity with you. But you shouldn't break a woman who is not in that space, pull her out of her comfort zone, out of her peace of mind. You know, she enjoying her wine nights with her girls, you know, putting a face mask on, listening to Badu. She having a good time being by herself. I don't think, like, sometimes as fellas, like we see that girl that we want, but we don't assess the complete situation. We just see how she looks, how she carries herself. And we lock in on that target, and then we forget about being gentlemen. You know what I mean? So you have to give that young lady the opportunity to move the way she want to move. And I think that's another layer of just communication when it comes to sex. That's the center of it all.
Yeah. And I think it also comes down to for women. Oh yeah, go ahead, Kobe. Ooh. You frozen.
No, I was just saying, wow, like that's real.
Yeah. But you're like, but for women specifically, when it comes to dating or just sex or anything, I feel like you can tell if someone is seeing you as valuable by the way they treat you. And I think a lot of times we try to make up things in our mind to say, this is why he's not treating me this way. His past was like this. He's not treating me this way because of that. Oh, he just got our relationship. He's not treating me this way because of that. Oh, this, and that. And so we, like you were saying about the potential, we're like, if he just knew God, or, you know, if he just went to church a little more, and we try to balance it out, and then we give ourselves to that person, whether that's physically or just emotionally. But we're giving ourselves to the person that is who they are. And we could get hurt when they're not adding up to the person we have in our minds. So
everybody gotta be on the same wave.
Have to
Yeah.
be. And
You gotta be on the same wave or the same frequency. You know, I think that's important too. But also too, like like I said, I have two sisters. My younger sister is 25, is the one I'm most closest with. Like we like as a women, I've seen it. You know, I've dated a lot. I have a sister. You know, I have an older sister, mom, aunts, grandmas. Sometimes women can get in their own way too, because like you know, one of the seven spiritual laws is the law of least resistance, meaning that you have to accept the situation that you're currently in that moment. You have to accept things for what they are, right?
correct.
And so sometimes, now that it's hindsight is 2020, I'm pretty sure all of you all can look back and say, you know what, that relationship was trash, or that situation was trash, but I thank God for it because it's
Yeah.
made me who I am, right? But in a situation, you were like, nah, 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 fighting it, fighting it, fighting it. But as humans, we have to, as spiritual beings, we have to practice the law of least resistance, meaning that we accept, you know, life for what it is. Life is a reflection of my decisions, my thoughts, and my actions, right? And so whenever you accept whenever you accept where you are, you take responsibility for the situation that you're in. So if you were in a situation where you're telling yourself that you're ready for a serious relationship, but your actions are saying other things while you're having just a friends with benefits relationship with this guy, then you have to accept responsibility for being in that situation. It's not the dude's fault. It's both of you all's fault, right? Unless he completely told a lie, you know, and painted a picture of what it was going to be. You took a risk saying that I'm going to partake in this relationship with this guy for the potential for it to grow. But as a woman, you have to take responsibility for your actions. He has to take responsibilities for his. And I think that's the key to it all. And I think whenever you look at life that way, it brings you back to a humble place. Because if not, you develop ego and you start pointing fingers, except for pointing fingers at everybody but yourself.
Yeah. I think I Jazz.
No, I couldn't agree with you more, because when I look back, and I've said this on previous episodes as well, that you know it wasn't until I really look back in hindsight at the whole situation shift from back in college, and I really had to look at myself, and you know I was so mad at this person, and I was holding up all this anger and this, you know, these trapped emotions, if you will, of just like resentment, anger, blaming, you know, feeling like, why didn't you just keep it real with me and tell me that this is what you wanted, or that case of the this, that, and the third. But then when I looked back at the situation and I asked myself, I said, well, I was reevaluating the situation, and I noticed that, you know, there was countless of repetitive behavior, like, you know, the words were not matching with the actions. So you was telling me one thing, but yet your actions was, it was serial behavior over and over again. And so what I realized, like at any given time, I could have removed myself from the situation once I saw that your actions were not aligning with your words. And so, but I was steadily pointing the finger, like, why don't you just treat me better? Why don't you just, you know, do XYZ better, instead of me treating myself better and removing myself from the situation. So
Right.
this kind of got a little deeper than just sex, but I feel like
Hey, sometimes it goes like that,
right?
right?
But I feel like we do have to look at the actions along with the words, so that we aren't, like you said in the beginning, like we're not getting caught in the potential phase, like wanting potential from a person when it's not aligning with their actions.
Like I share a personal story. Like I've you know what I'm saying, I've dated women in the past, right? Not girlfriends. Meet them. I say, look, I'm not ready for a relationship. I got a
Mm-hmm.
relationship, let's say right now that it's the month of August. Let's say I got a relationship in January. I'm not looking for a relationship. I want to get to know you. Let's date. Let's hang out. Let's kick it. But right now, I'm not looking for a relationship. Now, if a man tells you that in August, it doesn't mean that he may not be looking for a relationship in December, January, 4 to 5 months down the road, right? So you can make a decision to, it's kind of like you have to have the ability to partially be invested in something, right? So whenever I'm investing in the stock market, if it's something that I'm not so sure about, I don't go all the way in. I may go a little bit, whereas I can take a risk and have a positive, negative yield on it. Whereas I'm willing to take this risk and deal with the negative consequences of me losing my money, but I'm also willing to take this risk to come out on the positive side if this thing does work out. And I feel like men and women have to assess the risk and reward of each situation, right? Apply what you've learned in the past, move on. Don't let the next person pay for the last person pay for the next person's mistakes, but you apply that moving forward. But you have to assess that, right? And I've had situations where I've said it, I could have said it in Spanish, Italian, it don't matter what language, right? But I've had situations where, like, well, your actions were saying this and this and this and this. I'm like, but as a man, I'm telling you what my intentions are. I don't want to get into a serious relationship. I'm not ready to settle down and just date one woman, right? And for some reason, no matter what you say, if you are a half decent guy or if you're a good guy, and just say, for instance, you're a gentleman, you open up doors, you call in their own lunch break, they focus more so on this. What's wrong with calling on a lunch break? They focus more so on the action.
Married now.
Oh gosh. They focus more so on the action versus my original word, but not to.
So that's when women, they have to step back and assess the situation. Am I okay? We get my feelings all caught up in, him calling me on lunch break. And can I continue to like do this and not fall too hard? Can you, honestly, women, we have to be real with ourselves. Like, are you okay with him calling you on lunch break, sending you them good morning text messages,
Right. But you also can't be upset that October rolls around or November, December, and he pop up on the gram with a new boo. Then y'all in the group chat like, oh, he was just with me 2 months ago. But he told you at that moment he wasn't ready to be in a relationship. But evidently there was another woman that was around willing to, like I said, and put that investment in and assess the risk, assess the reward. Tiffany, I feel like Tiffany hit. I feel like I hit a personal spot with Tiffany.
No.
One of her little boos pop up on the gram when they pop up on the gram.
No, it's not. It's just that was a bit confusing. It was only because usually people say one thing and the actions so different, and so yeah, I guess that's a little confusing. I guess what we need
so on this case, somebody said, like, I say what I mean, but I also, it's not that I do anything different, is that I just be myself, depending on, like, I was raised by a strong Black woman, educated. I've seen my mom grind, sacrifice, like I went to school, undergrad, got my master's, single parent. My sister came in right behind me 4 years later, bachelor's, master's degree, single parent. My brother's in college now. All this is about one single Black woman on one income, right? So like I was able to see like a strong example of what a woman should be. And so I've always been somebody who's respectful and just always been myself, right? Am I perfect? No. Have I made mistakes in the past? Relationships? Absolutely. Have I cheated in the past? Absolutely. Right? I'm human. I'm a man, right? But it's more so like still the foundation of myself is that I'm a gentleman. Like I open up doors, like I pick up tabs, like I call and say what's up. Like I'm a little bit archaic than just trying to text you to death or what you're doing you to death, right? Like let's FaceTime, let's do this, let's have a picnic, let's go on this type of date, let's do something fun, like let's have wine night, let's paint, like different things, right? And so like if I'm just being myself the first couple months, like a woman would take that and be like, oh, and kind of forget about what I said and focus more so on what I'm doing. Essentially.
Yeah, and I guess that's why, and that's tough too, because you could try to be half in, half out, but sometimes you just get so wrapped in regardless. And for me especially, like I try being half in, half out. Remember Jazz, but
yeah, I remember, girl, I remember.
I was like, I tried being half in, half out, but it came to the point where I felt like I was playing games, and I feel like the person I'm supposed to be with, I'm not gonna have to play games with. And so I don't want to be half in, half out. I want to be all in, but I have to love myself to let that person go. So I'm not attached to this end result. And I think that's what it comes down to is like self-love. Do you love yourself enough to make sure you don't put yourself through this, because I want to be
I got a better one for you though. Do you love yourself enough to be intentional about what you want? Right?
Yeah.
To set the intent. Like the intent is Tiffany will meet a guy that is da 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 period. Nothing else outside of that. Like sometimes when we set these goals for men and women, set these goals for ourselves to have a man or a woman that looks a certain type of way, has a certain type of career, certain type of faith, whatever, you attract that person to you, right? But they also may come with some extra baggage that you don't want. Whereas if you say that you, from what you've said multiple times, you sound like a woman that is uh, shows like emotional maturity as far as you are aware of yourself, you're able to identify your own self-love, and you're able to then say, this is what I want out of a relationship, not even diving into the man specifically, but you want to attract someone who is ready to be monogamous and be in a committed relationship, right? So if you set that intent and you align your affirmations with that, I believe that just like you attract everything else in life, you can attract individuals in life too that's going to bring you that vibe and that energy that you want, right? But sometimes we just don't. Like the famous quote is, "Be specific in your request." You know, be specific. You know, like write down, write down like the things that you want in a man. Put pen to pad. That's what we talked about in the spirituality episode 21. It's like there's so much. Erica Badu said that it's so much power in actually writing down your goals, right? It's power in like thinking about your dreams and your aspirations. But when you say that you want a $500,000 house, when you say you want to drive a Bentley truck, but it's a different energy whenever you write it down. Something happens in the universe that begins to transform and attract those things to you, right? And I'm a big person. I'm big on like spirituality and energy and all those things. I'm a big believer that what you are seeking is also seeking you, right? And so the goal is for those things to collide, right? Your goals to collide. So if any of you all have went to undergrad, went to graduate school, or working in a career that you really wanted, in the universe, what you wanted and that career that you wanted collided for those things to happen and to attract exactly what you wanted, right?
Yes.
And so I believe that we have to, the same way we go out the degrees and jobs, we have to simplify that same thing in relationships, right? Just because emotions and love and all those other, and sex and all those other things are involved in attracting human beings to you, it's simple, right? It's simple as getting that job or getting that career or starting that podcast, right? It's as simple as that, attracting the person that you want in due time, right? A person that masters patience is a master of all things. So like we have to be patient, and we go back to the law of least resistance. Like whenever the time is right, as long as you're in direct alignment with the universe to receive what's due to you, that man or that woman that's perfect for you will come.
So you dropping hella gems, okay?
Right.
A couple y'all got me going now. I feel like, you know, talking to my sister right now or something.
Yes, you are dropping gems, and I love the gem about the power. And we've talked about this in the past about when you write things down, it is so powerful. I'm a firm believer of writing things down. And just Tiffany, you've talked about, you shared many stories about how you wrote your childhood goals down, and literally you look back at them like less than 5 years ago, and everything came true. Same with stimulus situation happened with me in middle school. And I just wanted to get some, because I was looking it up as you were talking about how, like, I want us to get a measurement about how powerful it is when you write things down opposed to when you type something in your smartphone, or if you like just say it out loud, as you were saying. So so when you write something down, it is proven that it transmutes 10,000 neural pathways in your brain, opposed to if you were to just type something on your phone or in your computer, whereas it only transmits only 4 neurotransmitters. So it's 10,000 times more powerful when you write something down. And like you were saying, Lide, when you're literally sending it out into the universe and asking for it to come back that much faster. That's why we write.
It's a boomerang, man.
Exactly.
Like I've had some stuff happen in my life that's spooky. Like, I mean, I've been in situations where like it's, you know, that's why I like the book by Rhonda Byrne. Like she wrote The Secret, The Power, and The
Mm-hmm.
Magic. And like whenever you really tap into being able to attract what you want, it's kind of like you have magic. You know, you want this job, you get it. You want to move to this city, it happens. You want this type of shirt from the store, it happens. You want a car, it
Right.
happens. It's kind of like, you know, my biggest thing that I love to say is like abundance is my birthright. It's, you know, I was
Yeah.
born to receive everything that I want, right? Everything. Like another thing I like to say too is like, you know, I read this book, I may go grab it so y'all can see it. I think it's called How Life Works, or something like that. And one of the quotes is that everything comes to me under positivity, but under grace and under mercy, right? So that
Mm-hmm.
if you want $1,000, you're gonna get $1,000 cash in your bank account versus $1,000 medical bill,
Mm.
right? So if you want a man, you're gonna get a man that's good for you and positive for you, but not somebody that's gonna come and wreck your life. You
Yeah.
know, so it's like, but you have to be specific in your intent, but you also have to cover the things that you want. Like
Mm.
you have to cover it with positivity, cover it with grace, cover it with mercy, um so that when it's coming from the universe, you don't know what's attaching to it, right?
Right.
The universe is big, a lot of things are in it, but your goal is for the things that you receive, they're coming to you under grace, under mercy. So when you get that $1,000,000 and it's coming to you, it's not going to come to you in the future in $1,000,000 worth of debt. It's going to come to you in $1,000,000 worth of profit, gross, net, whatever you want it to be, right? And so I think that's important. But I think the biggest thing that keeps us grounded, right, is like tapping into that root chakra of really like feeding your soul with the things that keep you grounded. Like whenever you start to stray off the path of of you know, maybe it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you start kind of getting in your head and talking yourself out of it, and kind of texting that old guy or texting that old girl back that you know good and well your friends don't help you pull you out of that situation. You know what I'm saying? You have to have some stuff that you can go back on, whether you are Muslim, Christian, Buddhist, Hindu, spiritual, whatever it may be. Like you're feeding your spirit with something that can keep you grounded. Right. And so I think no matter if we're talking about sex or spirituality, we're discussing things that where we have to remain grounded and remain true to ourselves throughout that process.
That's so good. I have so many things to say, but I will be the only one talking. But I did want to pinpoint what you said was so good, because I think it's easy for us to get, for me, I feel like it's really easy for me to get the job I want. It's easy for me to get goals that are just like, I feel like it's very obtainable.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to relationships, I think sometimes I'm like, I can get everything I want, but I don't know if I could be specific about this part of my life, because
You can. You have
yeah.
to affirm. You have to affirm that you can and you will. Like you have to be, when it comes down to your goals, you have to be cocky and arrogant with your goals, right? You have to be confident in the things that you write down. Like, I'm going to get this job. Like, you know what I'm saying? You talking to yourself in the mirror, I'm going to get this man. I'm going to get this type of woman. I'm going to pay my mom's house off. Like, I'm going to pay these student loans off. Like, it's nothing. You know what I mean? You going through life as if you have like a bank account worth of blessings that you can just use at your disposal. You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
that's the mentality you have to have, because that trains you to where your actions and your words match on the same playing field. You know what I'm
Right.
Mm.
saying? It's important to surround yourself with individuals who are on the same wave as you as well, right? That's why I like the fact that it's three of you all, where you all can kind of feed off of one another, provide each other with positivity, provide each other with books. Like that's a big thing with me and my friend group. One like the Black Fly on the Wall group is the books. Like we brag about the books that we read in. You know what I mean? Like we brag about the stocks that we're getting into. We're bragging about the jobs. Like we're bragging about who's gonna get engaged next or whatever it may be. Like real man stuff, grown man stuff. You know what I mean? Feeding each other. It's kind of like
Yes.
running with a pack of wolves in a way.
Yeah.
You know, like there's no weak links. You know what I'm saying? You're running with a whole bunch of alpha, beta dogs. Like everybody is, you know what I'm saying, out to get it. Everybody's aggressive and everybody's positive. You know, one thing about the cast is that everybody is absolutely different. You know what I'm saying? Like, we
Mm-hmm.
got some people who pledged fraternities, some people who didn't. We got people who are married, some people who aren't. We got people who have two daughters. We got people who have sons. We got people who have children who are not married at all. We got people who, when it comes down to spirituality, not Christian, but believe that there's one God and all religions feed to that one God itself. You know what I mean? We have so many various thoughts. We got some of us, like we were just on the Zoom call before I got on with you all talking about a business call that we had last night. And my boy was like, yeah, how many times you meditate today? You know what I mean? That's the lingo. You know what I mean? And like I was like, I need to get another one in so I could talk my you know what I'm saying? And I think that's important. Like if you read, it don't matter how many books you read, how many affirmations you say, if you're not around people who are watering you so that you can grow, you're gonna stay in that same stagnant place, and you're gonna be a year later, you're gonna be having the same issues because you know birds of a feather flock together. Some of y'all grandmas used to tell y'all that running with so and so is gonna get you run with dogs, you attract fleas, all these different sayings, you know what I'm saying? So I think it's important for us to be around people who water us and take us and value the things that we bring to the table.
That's so true. That's so true. And I just love, because from looking at the Black Fly on the Wall show, I do love the very various different opinions and perspectives. I love how it's not just one way, like you were saying earlier.
We don't never agree.
and I love that because it gives different aspects of like and ways of viewing, and maybe it makes people think and question, like, okay, do I even believe in that? Or, I like his perspective, or, so to speak. So, and I love that. I love, and it all goes back to what you were saying earlier. It's you created it, or you've all curated a platform where it's giving Black men the voice to say whatever they feel, whatever they genuinely feel. And I love that because
we like to make it realistic. We like to make it realistic. Like you can't go into the workplace, you can't go into the barbershop, right? You can't go to the basketball court or the gym, and every Black man that you meet is going to believe in the same things that you believe in. It's just not realistic. Like the world is also not realistic like that as well. And so like we have to make sure that we provide a safe space for all men to come. That's why I felt like it was real important to bring a gay Black man on the show, right? Because it's like not all Black men are heterosexual. There may be a time in the future where we have a trans man on the show, or a person that's a woman that identifies as a man, right? There's going to come a time where what really opened my mind up to that, though, to keep it real with you. What really opened my mind up to that was protesting and being out there protesting in the street. Anytime you protest, you put your life on the line because you don't know what can happen, but you're protesting because you stand for something, right? And when I looked to my left and looked to my right, I saw men of all different kinds of background, and we was out there for one common reason, and that's for social justice, And I felt as if whether you were gay, Black, pink, purple, whatever you want to identify as, if you was out there willing to put your life on the line with me, I can respect you, and that's all it takes. Like we didn't got to go into the deep discussions, and one thing we don't tolerate on the show is like there's no judgment, right? Like we operate off of the law of least effort, which is one of the points is the defensiveness. You don't have to defend your point of view, right? So if you're Christian and he's Muslim, there's no reason for you all to debate because this is a place of love. This is a place of harmony, and so we like to approach that situation where everybody's on the same playing field, right? If I never told you I was the producer and the CEO of the company, you would never know based on our conversations because there's no ego involved, right? I make decisions, but like whenever we're in the group chats, we talking about this and that, and we want to do that, there's no ego involved. And so I think when it comes down to spirituality and sex and all that, like on Black Fly on the Wall, all men of any background, any identification, any classism, rich, poor, whatever it may be, any Black man has the opportunity to come to Black Fly on the Wall and speak, how they feel.
I love that. I love that.
Mhm. Yeah,
Did you?
I love that too. Oh, Jazz, were you about to say something?
No, were you about to say something?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, it's kind of going back to our other conversation. And I
Mhm.
just want to say, sometimes I feel like, okay, I don't know how to say this, but okay. Sometimes I feel like we get tested.
Absolutely.
So I'm just gonna give y'all an example since we're talking about sex, and sex is very taboo for me. Like me, Jazz, and Kobe, we rarely talk about it. Like we crazy, but we barely talk about it. And so what I'm saying is, I feel like we get tested, and I'm gonna bring up a situation that just recently happened to me. So there's this
Okay.
guy that I like.
Mhm.
Kind of like I was like, he's cool, he's cute, he okay, he on his own business, blackity black. I'm like, oh. And so one time, like I could tell he was flirting with me, and he DM'd me, and so we're going back and forth. But immediately he hopped into like some really nasty text, like, y'all, girls, I'm gonna show y'all the text message, like description, like.
See, they should have been songs. See, but I ain't gonna hold you.
Look,
Exactly. You should have seen him as soon as he sent them. We should have been like, girl,
Exactly. But I
Hit
ain't
it
gonna hold you,
in the group chat.
Yo,
y'all gonna be better. Y'all gonna be better moving forward. But for now, we're gonna talk about this situation. Go ahead and spill the tea. Go ahead and spill the tea.
Yeah, so all these nasty, I'm like, this is not the same man I see working hard out there. I'm like,
He's trying to
Blackity
work
black.
hard in other areas.
exactly. I'm like,
Exactly.
I didn't tell him like, I look, I like me a direct man, but sir, take me out on a date first. But anyways,
Right.
so but then I felt like in that moment, since I just got out of like, detach myself from that other I felt like I was being tested by God. Like, are you gonna allow yourself to feel that? Like, are you gonna allow yourself to be feel valued, or are you gonna really be valued, or are you just gonna let this guy talk to you any type of way? Mm-hmm. And so then I realized, like, going back to self-love, like that was our first podcast ever. And I realized, I'm like, do I really love myself, or do I just want the attention of someone that is cute? And then that's when I was just like, I need to affirm to myself, whether anyone likes me or not, like whether anybody finds me attractive or whatever it is, that I have to say no to the attention, because it's not good attention, and yes to, like, I love myself enough to be, like you said, intentional about the things that I want. Because I was like, you know what, maybe I should entertain this.
But hey, sometimes flesh is weak, man.
The flesh was really, I was like, I really had to have a long talk to myself. I'm like, no, you do not deserve to be treated this way. I mean, it wasn't nothing crazy or bad, but I was just taken off guard. But I feel like I was really trying to test, God was really testing me. But then something else that I written down just happened. And I was like, I feel like I passed the test, and now I receive my blessings.
Good. You know, the thing about it is, though, what I want, like, for like anyone, for you, Kobe, Jazz, like any woman that's listening, that's going to watch this, like in the future, is like, if you're living, you love yourself, right? Mm-hmm. And so, like, if you're questioning like your self-love, like, don't question it. Just affirm, say, I love myself. Mm-hmm. Or say your name, I love you, right? Because I think there's a major disconnect between like the body and the spirit, right? And like, not like the Holy Spirit or like the spirit of what you experienced in Islam and Hindu and Buddhism, whatever. I think like there's a major disconnect in our generation between like you, the human in the flesh, and your spirit on the inside of you, right? Because whenever you deal with conflicts of self-identification, self-love, self-efficacy, advocating for yourself, expressing yourself to others, emotional maturity, communication, like that's a sign that there's a disconnect intrinsically. And we have to get on the pattern of healing, right? Of healing ourselves, addressing ourselves, becoming very, very intimate and secure with ourselves. You know what I'm saying? Like before we start giving ourselves away to somebody else and wanting to get to know somebody else and wanting somebody to respect us and wanting just anything in general from the opposite sex or the same sex or whatever you partake in, I think it's important for us to like make love to ourselves, right? Get so ingrained within yourself that there's no without a shadow of a doubt that you know yourself, you love yourself, and you are intentional about what you want. Because like at the end of the day, like you all are all Black queens. So you're already born ancestrally with the understanding of who you are as a Black woman. And I think sometimes like our education system diminishes that, right? Social media diminishes that. The perception of the Black man and the gender role that he plays diminishes that. Sometimes religion diminishes that. It disconnects us from who we are intrinsically. And so all Black women have to understand where the F they come from, you know, who your ancestors really are. You know what I'm saying? You come from the Queen Nefertiti's. You come from, you know, the bosses, the Michelle Obamas, the Nita Bakers, Madam C.J. Walkers. That's the type of energy that you carry, right? And so I think that we have to first fall in love with ourselves so that whenever that person presents themselves in the universe, like you're ready to then welcome somebody into your space. And no matter what he or she does can disrupt what you got going on because you built a sturdy foundation to where you are confident and 100% confident in yourself. So Tiffany, you love yourself. You ain't got to ask yourself that. You know that. You got your brown on, got your hair up, girl. You ain't playing today. You know what I'm saying? You love yourself. You love yourself. You don't have to question that, right? But I think it could have been a test.
It definitely was.
Man. Definitely.
Only you can really assess that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like only you really can assess, like, was this a test? Or like, like, should I do this? You know what I'm saying? Like you have to make that decision within yourself as a grown woman to make the decisions that you want. But you evidently you made the right decision if now, looking back hindsight 2020, you're like, yay, I did the right thing.
Yeah. So like
Kobe, what you got to say?
And I was just gonna say part of that too, just to add on is boundaries and understanding like, okay, this is what I'm going to do and this is what I'm not going to allow. This is who I am. And I'm, not going to allow certain things to, certain people to speak to me certain ways. Just like you said, knowing where you're coming from and knowing like, I'm not going to make myself too available to this person too soon. I'm just not going to allow somebody to treat me and talk to me in certain ways. So I think that's a huge part of it too.
For sure.
Having those boundaries for yourself as a woman.
For sure.
And we all mess up, I guess, or make mistakes. I think we just have to give ourselves grace because we're human.
That's a good one.
Because I feel like, especially if you're like
I saw somebody that the other day, they were just beating themselves down so much. I'm like, yo, give yourself some grace, man. And you have to weigh the positives and the negatives. Like if your life is popping, you know what I mean, and you got 2 or 3 negatives going on, like, like really, what are you gonna put your energy towards? Are you gonna put your energy towards to polish up the positives, or are you gonna focus more so on the negatives? Just continue to feed your soul and continue to feed your spirit, and the negatives will fall off. Life is good, man. Everybody's during the pandemic, everybody's in good health. You know what I'm saying? You in a sound mind. Like I woke up this morning and saw that the New York Giants, the owner, his daughter committed suicide. You know what I'm saying? Like when you look at things like that, this is a wealthy individual. She got all the money in the world. But at the end of the day, like money can't buy good health and money can't buy peace of mind, Like I turned 30 over the weekend and I was on the beach and thank you. And I was on the beach and I woke up and did some meditation on the day of my birthday and watched the sunrise. And I was on the beach. I was like, there is nothing in this world that I want right now. Like I was in like a blissful piece of mindfulness, like during that moment to where like I wasn't worried about money. I wasn't worried about what was coming next. I didn't worry about what happened yesterday, undergrad, the past relationships, what's going on with my boys, anything like that. I was like completely in a state of like pure joy and happiness, you know? And I think that like our lives can be that on a daily basis, you know, as long as we're putting into work to manifest that what we want, for sure.
I believe that too.
I believe in that too, like completely, because you know, right now with I hadn't heard the news about the daughter of the New York Giants, was it?
Yeah.
Yes, I hadn't heard the news that how the daughter committed suicide, and you know, right now we're living in a pandemic, and all of these things that can, you know, take away from our peace of mind right now is like stronger than ever. So I guess in
I
this
think this is the
time,
time to really get grounded.
right,
You know, like we don't have as many distractions. You know, we ain't got the brunches popping off, the day parties popping off.
right.
You know, like this is the time where we can really like hunker down, cut the phone off. You ain't gonna miss nothing. Ain't nobody calling you. You know what I'm saying? It's a pandemic. Ain't nobody going nowhere. You know what I'm saying?
I
Like
mean, well,
turn
you
the
got some
phone
business.
off. Yeah, I got some business. You know what I'm saying? Turn the phone
right,
off.
we got some businesses. I'm like, hold on. We can't get that. But nah, you're right.
You know, turn the phone off, put your essential oils on, man, and just write and read and grow.
Right. And so that leads me to my question. What is, you know, I would consider that spirituality. So what does like spirituality look like for you all that helps you stay grounded in this point of time where, you know, we're going through, you know, such major friction as a country, a nation, a world, universally, like, and all that. What does spirituality look like for you that helps keep you on? And I know you mentioned meditation. So if you maybe want to elaborate and share with our soulmates.
Yeah. So the way I stay grounded is about several things. One is that every day I wake up, I say thank you. You know, I feel like gratitude is an attitude. You know, and one of the short version of the quote is like, the gratitude is an attitude that hooks you up to your source of supply, meaning that the more grateful you are, the more things you produce in your life through the universe to be grateful for, right? So if you're grateful and you're just thankful for breath and the ability to open your eyes, you're sending out to the universe, send me more stuff to be thankful for. Send me jobs, send me contracts, send me production, send me people wanting to be interviewed by the podcast, send me money, send me good health, wisdom, whatever it may be. So I start off with my gratitude. I have a gratitude journal that I received for my birthday. I'm gonna write in daily things that I'm thankful for. We talked about writing things down. I meditate twice a day, sometimes 3 times a day. And I look at meditation as a place to where you go to be in sound mind. It's moments where you don't think of anything at all. It's that place where you find God, right? Like you let go of the religious dogma, the messiahs, no matter what it is, no matter what your religion is, whatever, atheist, agnostic, Christian, Muslim, whatever it may be, anybody can meditate and find mindfulness in that moment. And I think that's what really adds to my aura as an individual. Like I've always wanted to be an individual who puts off or radiates energy of positivity, right? No matter where I go, no matter who I interact with, whether it's a homeless individual on the street or a CEO of a company, they both feel the positivity. So I meditate heavily. That's what keeps me grounded. I do a lot of chakra work personally. So I focus on the 7 chakras from my root to my crown to make sure that I'm always balanced and aligned, so that whenever blessings are ready to drop on me, I'm in position to receive them. And I'm in a position to attract that. So I do a lot of chakra alignment daily. I do a lot of visualization. Right now, at the moment, I'm reading like 4 books at a time. So like I like to like constantly be like feeding myself with knowledge. I'm reading The Master Key System by Charles Hannell. I'm reading, which is a book that relates to understanding spirituality from a scientific point of view. So understanding that your consciousness is actually an anatomical part of your body, like which is your solar plexus, which is a bundle of nerves, maybe about 3 inches above your navel, which is an area that you can actually activate to attract things in the universe that you want. So you learn about things like that. Yoruba religion, which is what you would consider the initial religion of the world, which is by African people in Yoruba, Nigeria. It's one of the first religions that identify God as a single entity, right? So you think about God as one entity versus like the moon god, the ocean god, the sun god, which is what some of our ancestors believed in, but they were one of the first to identify that. And you find Yoruban religion, which is some of you all are familiar with the mainstream word, which is Orishas. So Beyonce identifies her Orisha as Oshun, which is the Orisha, or and the best way to explain that is that Oshun was once a woman that was so successful on earth that God saw her fit to now become what you would consider an angel. So she's an angel, which is an African woman or African deity who is a woman that flowers women with love and respect and motherhood and leadership and all those things, right? And so when you start thinking about it like that, if you taught a 1-year-old that her whole life, she will grow up with a different level of self-esteem, right? A different level of self-love, a self-identity, and different things like that. And so you're reading that book. I'm reading Rise and Grind by Damon John, who's the individual who created FUBU, the Black billionaire. And then I'm reading The Kybalion right now, which is like a book by the 3 initiates that talk about the 7 hermetic laws, Tiffany, which is one of the law of least resistance that I've been talking about, which were African people who created these laws that we live by, which we identify as. And so like I like to read a lot, I pray a lot. You know, prayer is my time to have a busier mind. Like I try not to pray during my meditation, because like in meditation, I'm not asking for anything. I'm not looking for anything. I'm just looking for mindfulness. And so I pray to God, you know, and I just remain grounded through those things. And, you know, I would say that my transition started more so transitioning from religion to spirituality about 5 years ago. I found myself like trapped in the closet in my religion, as you would say. Whereas I was an individual that was attending church and doing things in church, but something else was calling me, right? And so I have a unique experience of going to church my entire life and gravitating towards something that now I feel 1,000% comfortable about. I feel 100% comfortable within myself. I see growth within myself. I see comfort within myself. I see confidence within myself. And yeah, and so like, I feel like, you know, as of more recently, I've been talking about it more in public, but it was something that I wasn't too ready to discuss with like all of my family and my friends and all that. I still haven't talked to my mom about it yet. You know what I'm saying? So mom, if you see this, we're gonna talk. But you know, it's like, it's one of those things, you know, that I feel like no matter what, I have to live my truth. You know, that's how confident I am in it. Yeah. I see all religions equal. I see everybody in love. I don't think nobody is superior or inferior to anybody else. I feel like we're all brothers and sisters on the same playing field. And so, you know, that's what I do. And so as I've done that, I've seen a 150% turnaround in my life, you know? And so I encourage like all my homies, my homegirls, tap into whatever you got to tap into for you to be the best person you can be, right? And do everything in love and positivity, and that's how you stay grounded. But that's just a little glimpse of like what I do with my spirituality that keeps me grounded. I do yoga to keep everything aligned and keep my intentions and everything pure. And yeah, that's it.
Awesome. So anybody wanted to piggyback?
I mean,
sorry if that was a lot too.
No,
It's my favorite topic.
Same.
I'll just take today, for example. Like Aaron or Lide. I wake up always saying thank you. And I put that song on today by Jill Scott. Woke up I woke up this morning feeling fresh to death. I'm so blessed. Yes, yes. So music and nature, but even like driving to work today, I was like, okay, you need to put on some gospel music, and I didn't know why. I was just like, I feel like I've been neglecting God. I'm like, and so I put on some gospel music, and I just became so overwhelmed with joy. And so that song I read him and Let the Praise Begin. That song just gets me through everything, and I'm not even going through anything. But it reminded me of like this time when I lost my job, like fired from my job, and how being fired from my job lined up everything that's happened to me. And my life is great. So I was just thanking God for like that He's guiding my steps, but also it just made me think of my brother, my mother, my father, my nephew, my sister-in-law, like, and my friends. And I was just so filled with gratitude. I was just thinking about them. And then just like, I remember them saying like, when your hands are up in praise, you have room to receive blessings from God. And so it was just a really good morning. So, and I ended up, getting my apartment today. So I was really excited about
Congratulations.
That. Oh yeah, soulmates, finally. We got it. Okay. So I don't know. I just feel like it's Jesus, God, definitely gratitude, nature for me. And then just family.
Yeah, I failed to mention that.
Yes. Yeah. Family and friends, because honestly, when I talk to you girls, or if I'm able just to talk out my feelings when I'm ready to, it just makes everything make a little bit more sense. Or my mother just, and so those are the things that keep me grounded and spiritually like grounded as well. Like, yeah.
Good.
How about for you, Kobe?
Yes. So things that keep me like spiritually grounded and just aligned. I would say my heart. So something Aaron, you mentioned earlier, you're talking about intentions. And so just making sure that, whenever I'm doing something or about to make a decision, that my heart is like in the right place, that I'm being intentional, and that whatever it is that I'm doing, whoever I'm surrounding myself with, that is going to get me to where I want to be. And that's in episode 21, I believe y'all were talking about that. Just, are you living up to your life's mantras and those principles? Are you really doing what you need to do to get to where you need to be? And so part of that is, starting with your heart. And then if your heart isn't in the right, if my heart isn't in the right place, allowing myself to change and to decide, okay, this is what I'm going to do, committing to that process of not just saying I'm going to be a better person or do better, but actually committing myself to doing better and being better in whatever area that I need to be better in. Same things that y'all said, silencing myself, sitting in that time, praying, listening to God and listening to what it is that He wants me to do. Gratefulness, looking at the positive things of life and the positives out of certain situations or every situation. Going back to that mantra, so one of my mantras that I try to live by is just living passionately, loving unconditionally, and laughing often. That live, love, laugh. And being of service and sharing, whether it's helping somebody, encouraging somebody, caring for someone, loving on someone, comforting, giving, just all those things, just loving people and sharing with people and being of service to others.
Yeah. Is your shirt green?
It is.
Like you was talking about like your heart, like you started it off and like something just dropped in my spirit. Like you should look on you should read up on the heart chakra. And like, cause like that's the energy that I get from you. Like and the color of the chakra is green. That's why I was asking.
Wow.
And you should definitely like read up on the heart chakra and like figure out like, because sometimes like I feel like with myself, like that's also the chakra that when I'm doing my alignment that radiates the most. That's what
Yeah.
sometimes gives off the most energy, right?
Mhm.
I like it because like I feel like if my heart chakra is always in balance, then everything else has to be in order, you know. Because
Yeah.
that's kind of like the center that holds everything down. So do some reading up on that.
Yes.
I sure will.
Yes, that's one of my
'Cause I
favorite
notice like
chakras.
about myself, like sometimes even when people get mad at me, I'm like, dang, when my heart was in the right, like I'm like, my intention was here. I was, I wasn't trying to make you mad. I wouldn't. So I'd be like more hurt than they are about whatever I did or whatever I said, because I'm just like, my heart was in the right place. I wasn't trying to hurt you. I
Yeah,
wasn't trying to,
yeah.
make you
That's
mad.
definitely that's definitely a heart chakra person right there for sure.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
me.
Yes, Kobe, you definitely have a green aura. You do. But
What
I
about you,
guess
Jess?
for me, what is spirituality, or are we answering? I think we kind
What
of
is
changed it to our spiritual
spirituality?
routine.
What is spirituality? What does spirituality mean to you, and what things do you do within spirituality that keeps you grounded?
Okay. For me, spirituality, it means I feel like being authentic with your walk, wherever you are in the place that you are in this particular time. And the reason why I say that, there's been times where I know soulmates, if y'all been listening to our show and rocking with us for a very, very long time, y'all seen my spiritual transitions and and the things I've differently, and how I evolved and how I ascribe to spirituality. I look at it a little different from Tiffany and Kobe, but then it's still, I feel like I'm very connected at the same time. And the reason why I say that is because I have been on the side of the fence where I was completely, I identified as spiritual and not religious. And then I also have been where I felt like I needed religion at that time in my life to propel me, and where I felt like I was heavily connected in at a points in time. So I really feel like for me, spirituality is just being genuine. If I feel like I need to go to church and I need to praise and worship, I don't need my spiritual friends saying, you can't do that, or I don't need my Christian friends saying you can't burn your sage and align your chakras. So, I just feel like, if I'm being honest, I feel like I've created a infusion where because I do use a lot of scripture, and I use the Bible. I use the biblical power in the Bible, but along I still use Kabbalion. I still use The Secret, Law of Attraction. I just have found a way to infuse it where it resonates and speak to me, and I like connecting with nature. I definitely believe in the power of gratitude like no other. I think that no matter what religion you practice or whatever spiritual practice you practice, I think gratitude is you can't receive if you're not thankful for what you have right now, right before you. And I love nature. I think nature is one of the biggest ways that I feel connected, using the elements of the earth, whether it be in fire, water, with candles. I love burning my candles. It just puts me in a good space, whether I'm using my sage to use the earth elements, or I just feel like I just don't feel that there's one way to describe spirituality, but I just feel like it's a holistic approach where you have to use different elements and different practices, such as like we just all talked about gratitude and just different elements of whatever resonate with your soul. And then how I use it on a day-to-day practice, like I just mentioned, gratitude, waking up the first thing in the morning. I like to do a meditation before bed and after bed. I mean, first thing, raising up within that first 30 minutes. Now it's a little, since the kids not at school, so I find myself, having to get them situated first and then go back into my space, creating my space throughout the day. But I do like to do, if I feel like my day is, busy, I like to at least try to get a minimum of 24 minutes of meditation. And it may not be just all in one sitting. It may be, broken up throughout the day, because I feel like at least I can do is meditate 1 minute for each hour of the day. Then I like music. Music is just, I don't know, it does something spiritually to me. Like, it just puts me in that good headspace. It's like a playlist I have, and when I put that playlist on, it just gets me in my good vibrations flowing. And reading, of course, I love reading new material. I'm always talking to the soulmates. They're like, and giving them a new book. Right now, I'm kind of heavily driven on the real estate market at the moment. So currently, a lot of my reads are just diving into a series, a plethora of Robert Kiyosaki's real estate books that he has out there. Yeah. But then also, I do like to add other literature, because I listen to audiobooks as well. So I have my spiritual, The Power of the Now, that I love, that I put on replay when I just feel like I'm that out of sync. That Eckhart Tolle. Yes, the Eckhart Tolle Power of the Now is one of my go-tos that I had to go and revisit this past week. And so, just feeding the mind, feeding the body, and feeding the soul in different aspects. It's not just one way for me.
And I know you mentioned sage. Do you burn Palo Santo?
Yes, I do Palo Santo, sage, cedar.
Because the sage definitely clears the negativity out, but the Palo Santo ushers the positivity in. Creates a space.
You're right.
I know you mentioned Eckhart Tolle. Have you listened to or read A New Earth?
That was my first one, my first read.
Good.
That was good. And good. Yes, I love that one.
Good. The reason why I like about A New Earth is like, and you probably can relate to, is like the ability that it eliminates ego. Really the suppression of the ego, getting the ego out of the way so that you can make room for yourself, right? Ego, and I love that. I love that because it touches everybody, no matter if you're rich, poor, little, small, black, brown, white, whatever. It touches you. And so solid. Thank you all for sharing, because I feel like to elaborate on where we are spiritually, like makes us like go into a place of vulnerability, to kind of like be honest with yourself. Like Tiffany was like, I need to go to church more. I feel like I ain't showing God no love right now, that type of vibe. And you're talking about like your fusion between religion and spirituality. And I think that's super dope, because like what we have to understand is that like us as African people are the creators of all things, right? We created religion, right? We created practices, right? I have the perception, and through all my readings, that like the first person on earth was a Black woman, right? That's my belief. I believe that, with the fact that we are the creators of all things, where it comes down to religion, mathematics, writing, paper, you name it, the ability to even use a light into a glass to create a lantern, like we created all those things. And so like, it's okay to fuse your spirituality with your religion, because that's what we've always done, right? That's what we actually had to do. And to your point, like I initially thought about whenever Africa was conquered, they were conquered from the east and they were conquered from the west. They were conquered from the east by Arabs on one side. Those individuals were taken into slavery and sold by Arabs into England, London, and all those countries and cities. And then we also were taken on the west by Europeans, which we then, what we call the transatlantic slave trade, to the Caribbeans, to Americas, right? Through that time period, like we lost a lot of our African spirituality. And so what we had to do was we had to do like what you're doing. We had to take the bits and pieces that we knew, right? Because a lot of our elders were killed. A lot of the men in the tribes were killed that would pass that information down. We had to take the stuff that we knew, combine that with what the master taught us in regards to Christianity. And now you have this fusion, which is why you can go to Cuba, you can go to Dominican Republic, you can go to Jamaica, and you will find Christians that also may practice hoodoo or Santeria or Olodumare or like all these different things. Whenever you travel, you get to see how African people has touched the surface of like spirituality and religion in so many different ways, right? So I think like you fusing your spirituality is kind of like your ancestors talking to you through action, right? That it's okay. You know what I mean? It's
I
okay for
definitely
you to
feel
do
it.
that. Yeah,
I
yeah.
definitely
Whenever
feel
you, I'm
it.
telling you, man, when you like one of like my one of the readings that I got in the past was that she had a vision that I received blessings without thanking my ancestors. So that's something new that I do now. Like I thank my
Yes.
ancestors for guiding me, for being
Yes.
angels, for watching over me, for protecting me, for putting me in position to receive great things. When I started thanking my ancestors, my grandmother died in September of last year, and I look at her death as completely different now, right? I look
Mm.
at like she's a spirit in a body that was in a transition period, and now her spirit continues to live on. And so I, without a shadow of a doubt, I feel her around me. I see things at the corner of my eye. Like in some of my pictures that I took on my 30th birthday when I was meditating and the sun was coming up, you see green specks that moves from the sky to right beside me. You know what I mean? You can't like without a shadow of doubt, I know, right? Ever since I've tapped into myself, my meditation, and connecting with my ancestors, my life has changed even more. Like it's even elevated even more. So I think like people like it's okay. Sometimes certain religions and certain cultures and certain sects um like paint death in such a horrific image, right?
Mm.
But I feel like death is a creative process for a lot of people to be able to transition to a new plane and be able to help those that's still here. You know, we have
Mm.
to take advantage of that energy because that energy is real. It really
I
is.
I couldn't agree with you more. And I always now have this saying because I have too started thanking my ancestors more. And I think what really triggered it because I started doing it right around the New Year time because
Hmm.
I don't know, I just felt the need to start just thanking our ancestors. But what really made me like go kick it up a notch was when the George Floyd thing situation happened.
Hmm.
And the reason why,
Hmm.
because I felt like just in that instant, he became my ancestor. And I don't
Hmm.
know, it was just like an aha pivotal moment for me. And then I just started thinking about all the other names of, Breonna Taylor, Trayvon Martin's, Eric Gardner's,
Hmm.
so to speak. I'm like, these are now my ancestors. And then taking it, like you said, even bringing it into our own personal family, like our grandparents. I mean, if we even think about Kobe, she looks exactly like her great grandma, like a spitting image. That's like reincarnation of her
Oh my
ancestral,
God.
like, oh
Exactly.
my gosh, like to the T. And so I just
Yes.
feel like now I have a new mantra, like, because we often in the Black culture, we often talk about our generational curses, but like I now give acknowledgement to the generational blessings that has
Yeah,
come
I
from
like that.
the ancestors
I like
before
that.
me. So I'm now like trying
I
to
like that.
shine light on the blessings that I want to reap from the generations that my ancestors that's come before me versus shining so much light on the curses that was potentially left behind, because I think that were blessings just like that there were curses left behind. So
Hmm.
it's just whatever you
And you know,
choose to
the crazy
acknowledge.
thing about, I mean, to cut you off. The crazy thing about George Floyd is like they released the body cam footage, and like now we learned that his mom passed away a month before he did.
Yeah.
And so when he was crying out to his mom, he wasn't crying out to somebody who was alive. He was crying
Mm.
out to a direct ancestor,
Yeah.
right? And
Wow.
so like when you look at spirituality, like you would think it like in reality it made sense that he would be crying out to his mom who's still alive, right?
Right.
Because he returned to an infant type mentality state and he's crying out
Mm.
to a woman who he thinks that can help him, but he's actually like was he watching the video, he was a spirit in a body that was transitioning, right?
Mm.
Like I have a cousin that was killed when we took a he I had a cousin that was killed 4 or 5 months after my grandmother passed away. At my grandmother's funeral, all my cousins took a picture, and in the picture he's the only one that has an aura around him, right?
Wow.
So sometimes your soul is prepared before you are. Like
Wow.
they talked about when Nipsey Hussle, before Nipsey Hussle died, He was doing things around his house. He was getting his life insurance policies together. He was moving money to the side. He was selling useless stuff off. He was telling everybody that he loved them. He was very, very like intimate with his family. He didn't know he was going to die, but his spirit knew he was going to die, right? It was time to transition. And so sometimes like what we have to understand when it comes to death is that death is a creative process, and that we transition from this plane that we're on whenever our soul purpose has been met. Martin Luther King's soul purpose was met. Malcolm X's soul purpose was met, right? All these individuals that have passed away, you have met your soul purpose. And so it's now time for your soul to transition to another plane, to live in that creative area that it is, whether you call it heaven, utopia, whether no matter what you identify it as, we understand that the soul lives on, right? Some people say that they have deja vu, right? So like your deja vu is that the feeling that you've been somewhere before, which you possibly could have, right? We talk about Rhea, and you talk about how Kobe looks like her grandmother. You know, there's been so many stories of people saying like, I've been here before and you can't tell me that I haven't. You know, you've had 3-year-old little boys having knowledge of women that have died 60, 70 years ago, right? The reincarnation of people. So I think you know, this could be an all-night conversation, but I believe like, you know, it's like death and spirituality and the view on life is so unique that there's so many points of view, vantage points that we can look at it from. But I do believe like you know, based on readings and understandings and talking to people, like our ancestors just looked at death completely different, and they involved their ancestors in their life. You know, they made sure that they stayed a part of that creative process of their life, so that they can be successful.
That's interesting that y'all brought that up, because when you know, this is gonna be like the last point because I know we've been on here for a long time, but unless y'all got something else to say, I think that sometimes we separate religion and spirituality too much, or maybe because when I think about being a Christian, I never separated. I always felt like that was a spiritual journey. And if we look at like the Bible, there's a lot of things that, you know, we've all said today: gratitude, writing things down, making them plain. It says the same things in the Bible. And even yesterday, me and my mom were like sitting outside looking at the stars, and she said this scripture. It's like, you know, that basically like our grandmothers and her mom, her grandmother and dad are looking at us, because it's like, she said this Bible verse. She's well versed in scripture. I'm not. But she basically said the scripture is like, they're in the stars and they're looking down at us and they're guiding us. So I wanted everyone to know, like, if you're a Christian, well, for me, it's always been a spiritual journey for me because I don't see how like a religion can't be spiritual.
Absolutely.
A lot of the things that we say is found in the Bible and found in other religious books as well. And I feel like we're all kind of on the same path, even though we might look at it differently.
For sure. Same path, different steps. Sometimes we're on the same path and some of us bust a left, some of us bust a right, some of us continue to go straight. But a lot of times you notice that with paths, you can end up at the same point. Right. And along those separate journeys that we take, we get the things that we need along the journey. Right. I like the book The Alchemist because it talks about the journey of Santiago and the things that he had to go through and experience in order to be this individual and grow into this person and learn these lessons, you know. And so yeah, that's very beneficial. And I think Black people and African people should understand, like, you know, like text. You know, we wrote so many religious books. We wrote the Bible. You know, you can find the latest Bible in Ethiopia. Ethiopia is in Africa. You know what I'm saying? And they're one of the oldest Bibles on the planet Earth. And then you find other texts like the Shabaka Stone and the Emerald Tablet and all those different things of text that describe the creation of religion and creation of the universe and God and all those different things. Like, we've always been well versed. And so I believe that no matter what you believe in, like you said, Tiffany, like you are on a spiritual journey as you transition, and whether you transition out of your religion or growing deeper into your religion, whatever is happening, you're on a spiritual ship. right? Just riding the wave, loving on yourself. And I believe that even deeper than spirituality is love. That's something that transcends across all peoples of religions, faiths, ethnicities, all those different things. You know, so just in the spirit of spirituality, I just want to thank you all again for providing your time. I tell my boys that all the time. Like we can give away a lot of stuff, but we can't get time back. So we're all taking time out of our day, away from our families, away from our businesses, friends, and everything else to kind of have this conversation and to give. I told a business colleague that things like the podcast and Black Fly on the Wall and all that, like your podcast is like it's a giving platform, right? We're doing this to give. We grow within the process, but we want to grow and give as much information out as we can so that somebody that's listening and watching can grow and get something from that. And I get so much gratitude and positivity whenever people hit me up and say like, yo, like that helped me out so much. Like I was curious about this topic about finances or sex or religion, and now like that conversation really stimulated my mental on like I need to do this, I need to do that. Like that's fulfilling for me. So in the spirit of gratitude, I think we all should pat ourselves on the back for just growing and glowing. Y'all can have that one too. Y'all can have that. Growing and glowing.
Growing and glowing.
You know what time it is?
Y'all, what time is it? It's affirmation time. It's affirmation time. It's affirmation time. Y'all, if this is your first time tuning in on the Soul Filling Podcast, we always end our podcast with a positive affirmation. So what the heck is an affirmation? An affirmation is any statement that you are using to transform your life. Either you're transforming your life for the good or you're transforming your life for the not so good. Even in the Bible, it states, let the weak say, I am strong. So on those days when you're feeling weak, broke, sick, and tired, you cannot speak those things over your life, over the current situation. Instead, speak positive, uplifting things. I'm getting better and better every day. I get through this. I'm the best version of myself, something that gets you out of that situation. So I'm affirming, well, there are 4 of us today, and I'm affirming that there are millions, billions, trillions of y'all out there tuned in. And we're going to go ahead and end this thing off with our positive affirmation. So who wants to go first with their positive affirmation?
I'll go first.
Okay.
My affirmation to myself that I've been saying all day is that abundance is my birthright.
I'll just go. Okay. I am releasing everything that's out of my control and trusting God.
Good.
I am harnessing the divine energy that is propelling me forward in positive, prosperous direction.
I open my mind and my heart to receive all the blessings that God has for me.
Nice.
All right, guys. Aaron,
Like
tell them where they can find you one more time.
What was your question, Tiffany?
Tell them where they can find you in the show and everything.
Since you asked. So you can find us at Black Fly on the Wall, Instagram, at Black Fly on the Wall, Facebook, blackflyonthewall.com. If you need to email me, Aaron at blackflyonthewall.com. Everything is at Black Fly on the Wall. If you want to find us, just Google Black Fly on the Wall. You can get in contact with us any type of way. We take questions, we take feedback very well. Whatever you want to hit us with, we're open. We're very accessible. We have an open door policy, big or small. Just hit us. Thank you all again. Oh, I also got a shout
Thank
out.
you.
Every time I do a podcast, I wear a black branded T-shirt. This is a black-owned business. So
Yeah.
this is called this is Melanin Apparel. Y'all see the melanin? Y'all see
Yeah.
the melanin nutritional facts.
This is
So
I
this
deep.
is from
love that.
Melanin. Yeah, this is from melaninapparel.com. They have some super dope stuff. Chain is black owned. It's a ankh that represents feminine and masculine energies, the continuum of life, the balance of man and woman. I got that from Beauty Melanin as
Mm.
well. So there's also a black owned by women, Beauty Melanin is. And so yeah, I always got to shout out the black brands, man. You got to be blackity black. It's 2020.
That's
Yeah.
over here. And make sure you guys are following us, Soul Filling Podcast, everywhere. We're on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and you can listen to us on SoundCloud, Spotify, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts. And if you are listening to us on Apple Podcasts, make sure you give us a 5-star rating and write something soulful and sweet so more people can hear these amazing conversations we're having. It's soul filling, so we want everybody's soul to be fed. We love you.
I'm fed, y'all. I'm full.
Right?
I'm full.
And
I'm full.
before y'all go, soulmates, if you haven't done so already, head over to our Patreon. If your soul was just fed, which I know that it was, y'all go ahead and feed our soul, invest in us like we invest. Yes, feed us in every way. We do this because we love y'all and we truly believe that we all have a divine purpose, and we just all want us to reach that purpose and grow to it together. So join us, give from the heart, and we love y'all. Until next time, soulmates.
Bye.
All right. Love y'all, man. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Lide.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank you. You did a good job.
That was amazing.
All right.
That was so
It was.
amazing.
Hit me.